The views and opinions in the following program are those of the host and guests and do not reflect those of Ernest Smith or Ernest Smith Productions. This is ESP TV.
Good evening and welcome to ESP TV. My name is Karen Bryson, and tonight my esteemed guest is attorney Amina Matheny.
Yes.
Willard. She's been on the show before, but we have to keep bringing her back because she has so many interesting things to inform us of and topics to relay, and her opinion is invaluable. How are you this evening? Thank you so much for being here.
I am fine. Thanks for having me.
Girl, anytime you want to, you're a welcome guest here.
Thank you.
Let me reintroduce you to our listening audience who may not have seen you on our previous shows. Defense Attorney Willard is a criminal defense attorney with over 20 years experience. She has two sons, one with mental health and abuse issues, and the other son is transgender. Amina has worked in the trenches with victims and the accused, as well as the families of the victims and accused, gaining knowledge to effectuate crime prevention. She was a former candidate for Norfolk Commonwealth Attorney, and while she did not become the Commonwealth Attorney, it is our loss because she definitely would have been exceptional in that position. Well, today we're going to discuss the law. And there are so many things with watching and learning and hearing other people's opinions about them. We want to get this lady right here because I've heard that she is a fierce force in the courtroom.
Thank you. Thank you.
First of all, would you like to start with things that you've been doing, or do you want to begin with things that are already in the news?
We can start with what's already in the news. I've been doing a lot, so
Okay.
I don't know how to categorize. But what I'll do is we can start with things that are in the news, and then as we go along, then I'll add what I've been doing in the community.
Sounds like a plan. Well, here lately it's been ticking me off, and that's being polite. It's so horrendous about the various trials that are going on.
Yes, yes.
Oh, my goodness. I was watching the trial today concerning, yes, the Ahmaud trial.
Right.
And each time the defense attorney decides to get up and try to contradict the facts and bring other things into focus, I can't break my own TV, but I want to scream and yell and just throw things at it. It's like, I hope people are not being, influenced and fooled by the craziness that's going on. The question I want to ask you, considering this particular trial is in the mainstream and so well in the media right now, with the 100+ pastors that are in attendance and everything, I can see why the defense would have a problem with that, thinking that it's influencing the jury, but they're not aware of any of these other things going on. So is this just a tactic to circumvent the gentleman in question, the defendants, what they've already done, and try to take the focus off them and put it on the plaintiff, like he's really the bad guy and should have been shot?
Well, this is my personal opinion, and I'll add my legal opinion as well.
Okay.
So the defense attorney continues to ask that these black preachers not be in the courtroom.
Right. Reverend Jesse Jackson to be
Right. And he uses those terms like black preachers, black pastors.
right.
So first, as a defense attorney, if the issue really is that you don't want these pastors in the courtroom because they're influencing the jury, then you're not going to couch it in terms of race.
Right.
What I would do if I really didn't want them in the courtroom to influence the jury is say that I don't want these celebrity preachers in. Once you couch it in terms of race, it's going to be very difficult for a judge to say okay to that because it's based on race. So what I suspect, and again, I'm not in the heads of the defense attorney or the defendants, but what I suspect is that one of his client said, I don't want all these black pastors in here. You need to say something about that. So he couched it in terms of how do I satisfy my client? Do you understand what I'm saying? Because if you really didn't want them there, as an attorney, you know you're not going to use a race issue. You say celebrity pastors are influencing the jury. And then the judge will at least, you know, it'll be an argument. But once you couch it in terms of race, you're not really trying to get rid of them because you know the judge is not going to make them leave based on race. To me, it looks like, and this is just from being, again, a defense attorney for over 20 years, it looks to me like he's really more trying to satisfy his clients. In some cases, you know, you try to do as much as you can to satisfy whatever your client is asking you to do. And that's what it looks like to me, just looking at that ask.
Well, yeah, and an attorney is supposed to represent his client to the best of his ability and have to believe him. I was waiting for the judge's ruling on the fact when the defense attorney for, which one was it? William Bryan's attorney. It was, and he made the statement earlier that I'm going to be politically correct because we're on TV and I want a listening audience to understand and this is just my opinion, not humble, but my opinion. Whereas he said, who's going to come in here next? If he has, you know, the family has all these black attorneys sitting next to him, is Al Sharpton going to show up next? And he said that would be like Colonel Sanders coming in and, you know, we have people sitting in here with white masks on. And I said, he didn't just say that on TV. He didn't just say that in the courtroom. And he's an attorney. You can see where his heart is, and it's not really for the law. It's in, so, but I was really proud once for the judge because I haven't liked him either.
You said one time.
When he said that he wasn't going to rule on that motion and that the defense attorney was really out of order in stating things like that, and he really admonished him for it. And I said, okay, one, you are doing your job for a change. How do you feel about this particular judge? Because I'm going to get to you too, as far as I am certain with you being a beautiful black woman and an attorney, you have come up with some negativisms in the courtroom from certain judges just because of that, and they don't maybe respect you as highly for your position. How do you feel about that?
Well, from a personal standpoint, I can tell you that I had not really encountered that until this year.
Oh my!
So,
in 20 years.
In 20 years. But here's the thing. This is what I've learned. So for the past 20 years, I've been doing criminal defense.
Okay.
Now I'm starting to do some civil cases. Civil cases are different because you know, if you do like a case against a police officer, it hits the city's pocketbook, or it's not. You know, you're going against somebody. The case I'm talking about in particular is the election case that I just did with Terry McAuliffe, and the judge just was completely, to me, was completely out of order. I felt that it was a race issue. It was a white judge. And I put that on the record.
Did you
So
really? What
I
did he
did.
say?
I basically I went in the next day after it happened and said I need to note some things for the record. I'm African American. My clients are African American. The judge is white. Opposing counsel is white. It is clear that I'm being treated differently. Now, I didn't say because I was African American, but I put on the record that I'm African American.
Okay.
And then I've detailed what the judge was doing in terms of giving me a number of things that I had to do or hurdles to jump through in order to get something on the docket, whereas there were no hurdles for the other side who was white. So I put that on the record and I detailed exactly what I meant. So I said, I'm just stating that for the record. And at the end, the judge was like, I can't believe you're putting race in this. It was a race issue.
Goodness. Yeah.
But that was the first time. And it was, again, it was a civil case. And it was, again, the first time in, over 20 years that I felt that.
Was this your first encounter before this particular judge? Or
Yes.
Have you... Okay.
Yes. And it was my first civil case.
Okay.
So it wasn't a criminal case. So it was very interesting. But, you live and learn, and I love what I do, so it was fine. I knew how to handle it.
I'm sure you did, with their plume and dignity and professionalism,
Right.
My goodness. One of the other issues I had with Ahmaud Arbery case is the fact that the defense focused on whether or not he may have been a threat to them because that particular community had stated that there were certain robberies and different things going on in that area, and their Second Amendment rights, to bear arms and protect, blah, blah, blah. And just because he was running, they assumed he was doing something. So the McMichaels originally stopped him, but when that was going on, and then William Bryce came on the scene, he didn't know what was going on, so he didn't know whether or not Arbery was actually a criminal, he had done something bad, or what his mental state was, or anything else about him, or if he was on the record for doing anything. But then he jumped in it too. So the defense wanted to bring a motion up against that and have the jury hear all this, but the judge again ruled that he denied it. So I said, okay, he must have had a lot of folks jump on him like, you better handle this correctly, or it's going to be a lot of stuff going on out here in every city because of this. So for him to change, I guess, his tactics and some of the motions, do you feel that maybe he's either actually trying to do his job, or that someone has pulled his coattail and said, you need to straighten up?
Probably pressure, probably the latter. Usually, with a high profile case, judges will hear about what's going on and try to adjust. So, and then some judges will hear about what's going on, and them being criticized, and they won't adjust. So it's probably the latter.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Another interesting fact that I heard today during the trial was that William Bryan's attorney, he wants to ask for a severance motion. And the attorneys, after, while the jury was away doing their deliberation and everything, they said it might just be a little bit too late. He should have asked for it before everybody rests or their closings or whatever. They haven't done closings yet. That's going to be on Monday. Considering he wasn't the one that actually shot Ahmaud, is there a chance that they will let him have a separate trial? Because I don't think anybody wants to really go through this all over again, do they?
Well, normally you do a motion to sever at the beginning of the trial, before the trial.
Okay.
So asking for a motion to sever after the trial has already begun is it's unusual. And it, I don't know if it, normally you have an idea of what the evidence is going to be, so you know whether or not you want your client to be tried with the other clients, and or the other defendants. And so that's definitely something that should have been done before the trial. At this late juncture, it's going to give him an advantage, because basically he would have to have a whole new trial, and he's already seen, the prosecution's case, and now he can adjust. So if the judge were to do that, then the other ones would say, well, we want new trials too. You know what I mean? So I wasn't following it today, but did the judge rule on that motion?
Actually, I don't, because I had to rush and do other things. I don't know specifically
How
if he
it
did
turned
or
out.
not. I just know that he said they were going to pick up on Monday at 9 o'clock for
Okay.
closings and everything. But
Yeah.
at this point, I think that because all of the defense, all three attorneys decided to rest, was basically because the judge did rule and say that because the jury, they weren't going to allow them to bring in any of the other things I said earlier about whether or not he had a case against him before, or what his mental capacity was, or anything else he'd done, or his running shoes, and they couldn't bring other witnesses in, so they didn't have another leg to stand on to,
Right. to
continue.
argue that. Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's been a mess. Oh, they also talked about the Totella Shores Facebook page that neighbors were, giving out information and all this other stuff. So it's like, this is turning into a three-ring circus.
Right. Right.
But he did tell the jurors not to listen to anyone, not to speak to anyone, not your family or whatever, because family pressure. Well, come on, just tell us. We won't tell anybody. Come
Right,
on now,
right.
really? Yeah. But I'm curious to see how this is going to play out, because this is really going to set a precedence, isn't it, for
Yes.
future cases against us finally having a voice and finally being recognized, and that something will occur against these racist people
Right.
that are attacking and harming us.
Yep, and that's very important. I think that the tides changed with the tragic death of George Floyd. Yeah, so since then, I think people are more sensitized to what's going on in the Black community.
Which is still curious, considering there are a lot of people that are sympathizers for our cause. 45, and I'm not going to say his name, but we know who 45 is. He still has millions of followers following him and thinking that his word is gospel.
Yep.
And that he may or is planning to run again. This is scary. What do you think, especially if for some strange reason, because they're not liking what my home state president is doing? Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. Help us. If he does become the next, the 47th president, I think we're going to go back to things that occurred on January 6th. What do you think?
Absolutely. And I think, so I heard a comedian was talking about what they feel like Trump is doing, which it seems this way, is that he's getting governors in place in all of the states.
Yes.
And
Especially
the Board of
ours
Electors.
here, that was-
right. Right. The Board of Electors in place so that if he runs again and actually loses, there will be someone in place to overturn the election, which, as we know, there were people that were there that decided that they're not going to cheat, basically, and do the right thing, and they wouldn't overturn the election, even though he called and begged them to do it.
Right.
So, that's certainly what it looks like is happening. I've talked to some Republicans; they don't feel like Trump is going to run again.
Really?
But yeah, I'm not sure why. But so I don't know. I feel like he's going to try to run, and he's going to try to put people in place to overturn a legitimate election. So that's scary.
Absolutely. Well, in terms of him, they're still trying to get information and documents concerning January 6th that he is not producing, and feels that he's still above the law because he was president, but he's no longer president. So even though he still has security and everyone else, like all the presidents, isn't he subject to the same rules, regulations, and laws as we lay people? Are we common people? Do we call us common people?
Lay people.
Lay people.
Common sounds like,
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. So he just feels like he's above the law. Before he was president, he felt like he was above the law.
Right.
So I think that's just his personality. We all know that he's arrogant, and so he feels like he's above the law.
Then why can't they pull him to task? And since they've already subpoenaed the information and he's still not turning it in, they can't take him to task or send him to jail, or what's the ramifications behind this?
Well, just like what they did with Bannon issuing a show cause, once they issue a witness subpoena for the person to come, then they can, and the person doesn't come, then they can issue a show cause or a capias, which is what they did with Bannon.
Okay.
I don't know that they're going to subpoena 45. They may, and it may be also that the documents that they're trying to get may not be directly in his control, so he may not be the custodian of records. Are they issuing the subpoenas that you're talking about for records? Usually it wouldn't come directly from him. So I'm not sure that he is violated yet, but certainly when they do the witness subpoena for him, if he doesn't come, then that will be an issue, because he won't come.
Probably not.
Because that's just how he is.
Considering they have so much already, I know that the government, let's say the feds or whatever, by the time they come for you, they've already gotten all the information they need. So you're either going to dig your own grave or verify and say, okay, I'm coming in. So
Right.
do you think perhaps this is what they're doing with him to try and make sure they have all their ducks in a row so that when they snatch his behind up, it's a done deal?
Absolutely. I think they're getting as much information as they can without him, and then they'll go after him last.
But the whole trial regarding that incident was a farce, because anyone with common sense, you know, if you look at the evidence, he was wrong. They were wrong. And for a lot of the things that were said and done to just be washed away, and the Republican Party still stands staunchly behind him, it makes you like, are we on the same planet? Like, what is going on?
Well, you know, they're trying to keep their jobs. They're trying to get reelected. So, and he had, you know, it was almost a 50-50 split in terms of the presidency. It was, 70 million to 80 million. So he still has a lot of supporters, and he's very popular.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so. Moving on, I don't want to give him any more airtime. Let's discuss the Kenosha killings. Oh my gosh, Kyle Rittenhouse, that was another one you just wanted to shake him and like with your light, come on, you know, the jury, all that fake crying. Do you see me crying? It's like, what in the world? Did you see any of this?
I did, and I actually put the, you know, they have a remix meme on him crying. I put that on my Facebook. It was so funny because it's like you can see him trying to squeeze out. He squeezes out like one little tear.
Yes.
So it's, you know, it was definitely crocodile tears, if you can call them that, because it was just one.
But if the jurors fall for this nonsense, you know, that's also going to send out a message, and there's still going to be, I don't know. Stranger things have happened.
I can tell you, I have had cases where, you know, I've been representing someone, and the victim does what he did. And this is what I say. Let the record show that there are no tears coming out of her eyes.
Are you serious?
Yes.
I love it.
Put that on record. There are no tears.
This woman is fierce. I told you, this is who you want representing you in the courthouse.
Yeah, you have to put that on record. Because when the court reporter is typing, they'll put like whimpering, crying. So you have to put, let the record, like I would have said, let the record show that there is one drop of a tear that he just squeezed out of his right eye. So you have to put that on record. So, and it's not being rude or disrespectful. It's just making sure there's a record.
Okay.
You know, and usually they'll stop.
Even the, we should hope so. Even the bailiff at the Arbery trial said he's going to quit because it was so much crap going on. He said, and then they said, well, they chose one black. They pulled all the names out and one black, you know. So he said, one, you know, really? That's what they're going to say. You know, but he said, I'm done. I don't want to be a bailiff anymore. I said, that's sad the way
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
it makes you angry just watching it and hearing some of the views and opinions and things that are coming out of certain people's, because it's really showing their true colors and who they are.
Yep.
Let me ask you a question about the jurors then, because you're supposed to have a jury of your peers, and we know that has been an issue since day one. At this juncture, if in fact things are going to change for people of color in general, does that mean we're going to finally have a voice with them not striking as many people of color from the jurors' selection?
Well, I think the important thing is that more people of color become selected as jurors. And one running theme, as we know in this country, is to try to make sure as many black people as possible have felonies, so that strikes them automatically.
Oh, man.
So we have to get rid of this. We have to get rid of the barriers to being jurors. There should just be the fact that you have a felony should not prevent you from being a juror. That is a man-made rule. So that can be taken. That can be taken away. So those types of things, just making sure the jury pool has more African Americans is important.
Well, I know, was it during the Obama administration where he cleared it so that if you've served your time, you've already paid your price, so you can vote. Is that still a positive as far as being able to vote now? Or?
Right. Well, we're here in Virginia. They're actually doing that too, where you get your voting rights back. And I need to check, but I do know that there is either some talk, or you're able to also be a juror as well, even with a convicted, with a felony conviction.
That's what I was going to ask. Yes.
So I will have to double check that. But yes, there's some movement in that direction, especially here in Virginia. I don't know how long that movement is going to stay, since we have a Republican governor now.
So many things are changing, just like with our bodies. Men are telling us what we can and cannot do with our bodies, and taking away Planned Parenthood and abortion rights, even if you've been raped or whatever else. Are we going back to medieval times?
I certainly hope not. It seems that way in some states.
Oh my gosh!
But it's like we're rolling backwards. But I trust that we will be able to prevent that rollback.
Trusting it happening are two very different accomplishments.
I agree.
Let me ask you another thing about the law. Okay, when Hamilton and John Adams and all the rest of them decided to have the revolution, okay, to get off of the tyranny from England, there were already law books and things written and in place that were established here. So did they just take the same laws from England and institute them here? Is that what happened? Because they were already in place.
Right. What I believe, based on the fact that they didn't want like one ruler, they obviously took some laws.
Okay.
But then in terms of like the governorship, they made it so that governors wouldn't be able to continue to run forever, like 20 and 30 years. So there was constant rollover in the head of government. Okay. So I think that was their biggest issue coming from Great Britain.
Okay. Well, I don't understand with the presidency. I know you can run 1 or 2 terms, but even after you've run your 2 terms, if you were in fact a good leader and the populace wants you again, why are you unable to maybe run sometime further down the future? Why is that a negative? Why can't people do that?
Well, I can actually give you an example because I had done the election case that I did.
Okay.
One of the issues is when you run for office, you build up what's called a machine, like a political machine.
Okay.
You have supporters that are gonna always come out and support you. You have donors You know, here I've learned that Dominion Energy is a huge donor to political candidates. I did not know that.
Didn't know that either.
But you have all of these. You have this machine. So if you run, if you're able to continue to run, your win is not based on you being the best person, but it's based on the fact that you've put this machinery in place. Money, resources, people going door to door. You've got that in place. Your first year, you may not have known what to do. The second time you run, you have more influence. If you continue to do that, you're going to build up this machine. And regardless of how good you are, you're not going to win because you're not going to win on your merit, but you're going to win because you've got, you know, you've got a relationship with Dominion Energy. So that's the danger in continuing to allow somebody to run.
But even if it does make sense, but even if someone ran for a second term and won, and you, as you said, the machinery is already in place, but those same power backers, like automotive, you know, the gas and electric, whatever else, those same people, can they not pull their resources if they feel even during your presidency, okay, well, this person isn't doing what they thought they were going to do? They still have to back them?
No, they can, but normally they wouldn't. If they're backing someone, it's because they probably said, you know, we're going to do this. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I know what you're saying, because I would have loved if we could re-nominate Barack Obama. I think he would have won again, you know? But I hear you, because that would have been, you know, that would have been great.
And his hands were tied in so many areas. They just did not support him at all, and that is horrible.
He did a great job, though, under the circumstances.
Let me find something else interesting I can ask you. Okay.
If you want, I was going to say, I can talk to you about what I've been doing.
Yes,
I've been
please.
doing. So, most recently, I have been focused on the $154 million that the city of Norfolk got from the federal government. And I have been outspoken about that. In terms of, the first meeting they had was November 15th. And the goal really for that meeting, to me, what it seemed like was the city of Norfolk was trying to rush getting these funds voted on and disposing of them before the majority of the city of Norfolk found out that the funds were even there. So the goal for the November 15th meeting was really just to shut it down, let everybody know that the city has time, they shouldn't be rushing it, and they just need to slow down.
Okay.
That was accomplished. A number of residents went to Pretlow Library in Ocean View and shut that meeting down.
Oh my, okay.
And it was just, and it's not about, it's not even a race issue. The majority of the people there were white. There was a number of African Americans. You know, the groups that are generally around Berkeley, Compostela area.
Okay.
So we all made sure our presence was known. And again, it's not a race thing, because what the city of Norfolk is doing, when you look at those funds, they are not putting it towards black and brown communities or white communities, children, the elderly, people with mental health, the homeless, the LGBTQ plus community. None of those communities are getting those funds. I'll give you an example. It's $154 million. They allocated $40 million to renovate Chrysler Hall. That's a third, almost. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So tonight I was at a meeting. It was the second meeting. So once we shut that meeting down, they were supposed to do a different type of forum. So tonight they tried it again, and people were upset. This is my opinion of the problem in the city of Norfolk. The city council is so used to controlling the residents that they don't know how to cooperate and interact and with the residents and actually do something with the residents, and not telling the residents this is what you're going to do. So I think it's just because tonight everybody was expecting to be able to go to the mic and talk about their ideas.
Okay.
When we get there, Councilwoman Johnson says we're going to do breakout groups, and we're going to talk. Y'all are going to talk in groups, and then we're going to, like, we're 5, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like they just don't get it. You know, in a real simple format, would have one meeting for a couple of hours, do a question and answer session.
Right.
And then say next week we're going to have another meeting where people can come up to the mic and share their ideas.
Okay.
And then, you know, the week after that, have a meeting where everyone has picked like maybe 4 or 5 ideas from everyone else's ideas and theirs, and we, you know, start narrowing it down.
Yeah.
But it
That's
just
not
seems like
happening.
they want to tell the city, the citizens, what they're gonna do, and you're gonna get into groups, or you're gonna put stickers on a little poster. It's insulting.
No, what is insulting is the fact that they were voted upon. We put them in office.
Absolutely.
So now what?
Well, there's an election next year where I think half the seats are up for grabs. So we need to get people in there. So that's something I'll start working on in the very near future. But we need people that, you know, each of the communities can support. So
Absolutely.
that will be a task. But yes, they need to get out of there for sure.
Well, that leads me to another question since you said that. I'm hoping that you plan on running for office again in some capacity. Are you still, is that sort of?
Yes, I do plan on running in 4 years for the same office, Commonwealth Attorney. So that office will, you know, be up again in 4 years. So I plan on running. Until then, I'm going to be in the community, making sure that City Council does what they're supposed to do.
City Council, are you all listening to this?
I'm sure they are. I really am. Make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do, and just to be a voice for the community.
Okay.
Until that time.
That doesn't. You don't have to stop there. That does not have to be the only office you choose to run for. There's other.
I know.
offices out there.
So people are like, well, why don't you run for Attorney General?
See.
Why don't you run for mayor?
Right.
Governor, even.
Hey.
I said, well,
You can
I
have
will
a black
have to
woman
think
in the
about
governor's
it.
house.
I know. That's, you know, we should have had one this go round, but
Yeah, we don't know how that
didn't
worked
happen.
out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how's that book coming along? I know you're writing a book now, aren't you?
No, I'm not
You
writing a
should
book.
be. I put it out there, see? You have so much that you could voice and say in your book. Your narrative would be a page turner, I'm sure. You have seen and heard and, you know, done so much.
Yeah, and I've had so much fun. I've had more fun in the past year than I've had you know, I think before, like, I was just, you know, going to work and going home, representing people, going home. I had never really been in the community. So it has been, it's been fun. It's very fulfilling, and I love it.
Oh, that is amazing. Let me ask about your boys. We never really talk about them. Are they really supportive of you and what you're trying to do? Because I know they know if anything ever happens, you have their back. You're in their corner.
Yes. Both of my sons are very supportive of what I'm doing. And both of them are here in Virginia. During the campaign, my oldest son was here. And my oldest son is 29. Okay. He's the one that has mental health issues. And I know you had said it's what I call it is substance challenges.
Okay.
Rather.
Okay.
So I tried to, like, when I was whenever I talked about it during the campaign, addiction or substance addiction, as that's what it is, as opposed to substance abuse.
Okay.
Only because substances are an addiction,
Right.
just like cigarettes, you know, drugs are an addiction.
Alcohol,
and then
whatever.
alcohol, right. So I use the term addiction instead of abuse, because when you think of abuse, you think of the person is abusing the substances.
Right, you do.
And so I changed that to addiction when I talk about it. But both of them are doing, very well.
Okay.
I'm very proud of them, and they're just, and when I say very well, I always have to tell people for them, especially my son, because during the campaign, as I talked, he has been in and out. He's been in and out of jail since he was 14. So he hasn't been to jail for the past, I would want to say, since March of 2021. So for him, that's good. It's been less than a year, but so that's why I tell people they are doing good, relatively speaking. So for him,
may I ask you then a personal question concerning that?
Yes.
Considering he's been in and out of the system since he was 14, regardless of what he was doing to be placed there, does he seem to feel more comfortable in an environment that's regulated and telling him what to do as opposed to being able to handle the outside?
No. No, when he's in jail, he doesn't do good in jail. He doesn't do good with people telling him what to do. And then when he's in jail, he usually spends maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then he gets out.
Oh, okay.
So it hasn't been, I think the longest period of time he spent was 8 months in jail. But his real issue is substance addiction.
And
that is the real issue.
shouldn't that, as you, I think, was part of your campaign, instead of sending him to jail for the addiction and the abuse, wouldn't a hospital setting something different?
Yes.
Well, why aren't they doing that?
Because I didn't win. That's
Oh
why.
my gosh.
No, but yeah, it's really the way people with mental health issues and substance addiction go together. Because what you see is when someone has mental health issues, they are trying to deal with what they're dealing with by themselves by using substances. Okay. So substances become
their way
you
of
start
coping
self-medicating.
Okay.
And then it turns into an addiction. And then, so there's a lot that just needs to be done differently, which is, again, why I was running for Commonwealth Attorney.
Well, I know it's not just here in Virginia, but weren't the laws or something supposed to be enacted within the police force so that they will have people that are there as psychiatrists or people there to deal with when they're being called for mental health issues, as opposed to just calling the police and having, it get out of hand? Has that not been instituted yet?
Yeah, they don't have that in Virginia.
Oh, my.
It's the police, And the danger with the police coming, it's like, trying to put a nail in the wall with a bulldozer, It's like, we don't need y'all to come with guns.
That's not the
But they don't know how to not come with guns out. So, and it's very difficult. When I spoke the other night at the Kroc Center, at the Stop the Violence forum, it's difficult for any mother that has a child or a young adult with mental health issues. Right. When you need the police, you don't want to call them because you don't want your kid to get shot. And the police, they've been reckless. So you kind of, you're afraid to call the police, but then at the time you're afraid of your child at the same time. So what do you do?
So why wouldn't you call the hospital instead and have?
They won't come out. They won't.
Serious?
So the issue is when you're trying to get somebody. Let's say my son is 29. Okay. So if he doesn't voluntarily go to the hospital, just the practical aspect of getting him to the hospital means someone's going to have to put hands on him, probably put him in handcuffs, take him down to the hospital, handcuff him to a bed, and so mental health professionals, they don't have that available for one. But what they should do is they should have mental health professionals that can come in and do that. But right now, the only people that can do the hands-on activities are the police. And when they come, like I said, it's like,
guns drawn, ready to shoot.
Yeah.
They don't even
So you don't want to call.
Yeah.
Right. You're right. So you can't even. So I know that there's parents that feel like there's no help.
Well, was it just on movies and TV that they used to come and put the straitjackets on you and, get you calmed down and everything? And
Absolutely.
So
Just
that was-
television.
Oh, my.
It's
okay.
not real.
Such disillusionment.
That's not real. That would be, that's an option. But that, again, that's just television.
Why did you want to be an attorney?
Well, the reason I decided to become an attorney, it actually happened when I was 14 years old. I was watching a documentary where this guy, was a Hispanic guy, had been in prison for about 5 or 6 years, and he was serving, I don't know if it was life or 40, but it was a lot more time that he had for rape.
Oh.
They found out after he had served this time that he didn't commit the rape because they had new technology to test the DNA. And he ended up getting out. And when I saw that, I was like, that is so wrong. So when I saw that documentary, I decided that I wanted to be a criminal defense attorney so that I can help people that were in that type of situation.
Okay.
And from there, I, kind of wrote down my plan to finish school. I actually finished school. I ended up going to summer school and night school, and I skipped the 10th grade. So I graduated from Booker T. Washington when I was 16 years old.
Okay.
And then I went to New York University I graduated from there. So let me see. So I graduated from there 4 years later, and then my plan was to go straight to law school.
Okay.
When I applied for law schools, I did not get accepted into any. My LSAT scores were low. My GPA was high, but the LSAT scores were low, so I didn't get accepted. I started working as a legal secretary. Then I had my son, and then I decided later to go to law school.
To try it again, yeah.
Yep, and then I went, graduated from University of Richmond, so T.C. Williams is what they call it, law school, and then started practicing. But the plan, was when I was 14, I was just, like, this shouldn't happen to anybody.
Right.
So that's
And
what
there
started
are so
it.
many people of color that are in there, and they are totally innocent, but they're housing us because they don't know what to do with the slaves now.
Right. Right. It's
That's sad to say, but that's exactly what it is.
that is what's going on. The mass incarceration is a substitute for slavery.
Absolutely. Keep us in jail. Has there ever been a point in time with everything that's going on, either with your profession or in society in general, that you just wanted to throw up your hands and just give it up and say, look, I'm done. I can't because nothing's changed?
No, but remember though, I've been so as a defense attorney, I love what I do. I love representing people. I love helping as much as I can. The system is broken, so it needs to be fixed.
Yes.
But I do the very best that I can in that broken system. So it was just this year that I actually got into the community. And it's possible, from what I'm learning,
Okay.
it is possible that if I had been doing what I'm doing now for the past 20 years, I might have thrown up my hands. And the reason I say that, but probably not, but it's like I've started attending these city council meetings. And when I go, like, okay, I'm going to give you an example. On Tuesday, I went there to talk about the fact that the city council just did not care about what the citizens thought if they were taking $154 million and spending $40 million on Chrysler Hall. Like, the problems that are in this city. You just don't care. That was my speech.
Okay.
However, while I was sitting there, some of the people in the audience were asking about jobs. City council said, well, the rec centers are open, but we don't have enough staff. So people in the seats were saying, well, there's a lot of people in the community that need jobs.
But they're not applying for them.
Well, here's the thing. One of the city council members, Mamie Johnson, said, well, give us a list of the people who need jobs. As I'm listening to this, now she said, there was a long, eloquent speech. But at the end of the day, what she was saying was, give me a list of people that need jobs. So I got up there. So what I'm saying is I was there to talk about the funds.
Okay.
when I got up there, I said, look, I came up here to talk about this $154 million, but I have to talk about this whole job discussion that you all just had. I said, there seems to be a running theme in the city of Norfolk that when the citizens ask city council to do something, they're like, no, you do it. I said, city council, and I said, this is my example. You just basically told the community to get you a list of people that need jobs
instead of them going out,
right? Then they don't have to go out. They can do a press release.
Yeah,
they can do a public service announcement.
They
can do a job hotline on television, on the radio. They have all this,
the media,
and it's free for them.
Yes,
they have all the resources to get people to apply. So do that. You know, if you have these rec centers open and you're claiming you can't open them because you don't have staff, and now you tell the community to go get a list of names of people that need jobs.
Yeah.
So
do your job.
Right.
My
do
goodness.
So it's just it's what bothers me about what I've seen about Norfolk.
Tell them.
What I've seen about Norfolk is that not only is city council, also I have a problem with the chief of police, Larry Boone.
Okay.
It's like the running theme is the citizens tell you all what the issue is, and you tell the citizens go fix it. You do it, you know. And the issue is not just that. Like you know, like I said with city council, the citizens were like, there are people in the community that need jobs, and city council says, well, you go give me the list instead of just doing a job hotline. Chief of police does the same thing. You know, there's an increase in crime. There's been a steady increase in crime for 5 years. What are you doing about it? Chief of police says, well, it's the community's problem.
No, it
like,
isn't.
No,
it's not. In
what world?
Alternate world are we talking about here?
Do I put on Facebook, you know, go to your job. Let your boss tell you. Let your boss tell you that you haven't done this work, and you tell your boss you do it.
Yes.
And see how that goes over, right? So, but it's not just that. It's just that when these answers are given to the community, they're like, yeah, that's a good idea. Why don't we go do it?
Yeah.
So you have this it's like being complacent.
Yes.
And compliant. Instead of questioning, you know, if they say, you go get me a list of people that need jobs, your response shouldn't be, okay, I'll do that. Your response should be, but you have all the money. All you have to do is do a press release. You have channel 3, 10, 13 that you can put this, you know, the city is looking for workers and put a job hotline, you know, so.
No, they're still with, oh, you're right.
Yeah,
Yes,
let's go do it. Right. It's just so it's a combination of just city council, you know, telling people what to do and people saying okay. And I think one thing about what happened on Monday, which I have the video on my Facebook, is that people were like, no, we're not going to do what you're telling us to do. And so they shut that meeting down. But like I said, tonight, it was just a different city council person saying, okay, now we're back to telling y'all what to do, getting little groups. So it's just like they cannot get over, like, we tell y'all what to do and you say okay. Like, that seems like it's been the mentality for years and years and years. And that just needs to change. And I think it starts with the citizens. We need to start saying, no, we're not going to do it like that. And, you know, just not putting up with it anymore.
So do you think then a boon to help in that direction would be when city council meetings come up for the ones that understand, get out there and say, look, you need to come to city council meetings, even if you only stay for 5 minutes, you know, get your voice heard, get your face seen.
Absolutely.
You know, stand up for what it is you want, because we can't all do it for you if you're not going to back us and you're only out there with your little sign, you know, when things happen, like, oh, it's wrong, you know, we need help. Do something.
Come to city council meetings. So it's the second and fourth Tuesday of every month. They had 2 this month because of Thanksgiving, but it starts again in December. And just make sure you come out to city council. You can speak for 3 minutes on anything you want to speak on. You have to call and sign up. If you go to my Facebook, if you just Google if you search on Facebook for Amina Matheny, I have up there when the city council meetings are.
Tell them where they are, where they have to go.
It's City Hall, so it's 810 Union Street. And what you'll need to do is on the Tuesday before 3, the second and fourth Tuesday before 3, you would need to sign up. I don't have the number, but you can either call and sign up or get the email. If you go to my Facebook, I have the numbers up there. You can also go to my website is www.aminalaw.com. And you can text me or email me. You can get that information off of my website, and I will definitely communicate with you. People send me messages by inbox, messenger, but we need. So there's the most recent census is 238,000 residents of Norfolk. Mm-hmm. So we need at least 230,000 residents at every city council meeting. That
means everyone has a life, everyone has things to do, everyone has family or whatever. But if this is important to you and you want to see a change, then be a part of the change. You're going to have to get out there, have your face seen, get your voice heard, and do something about it, because otherwise you're part of the problem. So you can't really say anything. Right.
Come to the meetings. And for people who don't know, the city council meetings are on cable channel 48 the second and fourth Tuesday of every month. So it's on cable channel 48 at 6 o'clock. When you come to the meetings, you should show up by 5:30 on Tuesdays. But yeah, just reach out to me. I will get you and make sure you have that information. And my goal is to make sure that the residents of Norfolk know about the critical meetings. So right now the focus is on that $154 million. Every time there's a meeting, I'm letting people know, and coming to city council about what your issues are in the community and talking to city council about what your issues are. So those right now are the two main things that people just need to focus on. Next year we'll be talking about elections for city council. So that'll be next year.
Get out there and vote again.
Right.
Amina, I want to thank you so much for giving us your time, your wisdom, these drops of pearls that you've given us, because it's always a pleasure to have you. And I hope you'll come back again real soon, because there's so much more we can talk about and discuss.
Yep.
And listening audience, please go to her website, go to her Facebook page. You will definitely, she's the one you need to listen to and talk to, okay?
Yep. Thank you.
It's time for us to say goodbye. So this has been ESP TV. My name is Karen Bryson, and as always, be a blessing to at least one other person each night, each day, whenever, always. Good night.
Good night. Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you were here, my goodness. And you see that I have all these other questions.